Hi, this video is basically kind of about where I am and where I came from and why I'm choosing and needing to leave. I came into this little casita in 2011, April 2011. I had a very abusive landlord, and it was a horrible experience, and it was in Alamogordo, and I heard nothing but bad things about all the landlords in Alamogordo and realized I would come to Las Cruces and find myself a decent place to live. And at the time, as well as currently, I'm on a Section 8 voucher, which means they look at your income and decide what you can afford to pay for rent, and you pay that part of the rent. Otherwise, if there's a lease, this place is $450 a month, but that offer no longer goes. It did when I first came here. Now the place is $500 a month, and the property has been sold, and the people don't want to keep me. I think what they're doing is renovations, and they want to up the rent and rent to somebody else who's not in Section 8. So for the meantime, and the time being, I'm still here. I've been a good tenant and I pay my rent, and so they're letting me stay, at least for now. But any month that's going to be changing, so because they did kind of express a desire to have me leave. And this place kind of was cursed from the moment I moved in, but I was grateful to have it. And that yard out there, see, they're starting renovations on the other side. At least they're starting there first. That gives me a little bit more time. But it has this whole beautiful yard, and I was told when I moved in here that I would have use of the yard, and I found out when I wanted to use it that I do not have use of the yard. I can't use the yard at all. There's no outside area whatsoever except for a sidewalk that borders on a busy street. So you can kind of see there, it's just a sidewalk and a street. There's no place to sit outside, and you know, I could always pull a chair out there, but I tell you right now, it would not be a safe place for me to sit at all. So there's really nowhere for me to go out and get any sun. It's a very dark apartment because of the trees around it and everything else. It's very, very dark, and it's basically like what you see today is a normal day. There's not really full sunlight. It's overcast. So not only are there, you know, trees that would block sun if there was any, but there usually isn't any. It's usually gray. The sky's usually gray. And so I get very little sun inside, very little vitamin D, and no place to sit outside without having to travel in a way that I'm physically just not up to most of the time. I'm not up to driving or any of those things most of the time. So there's just nowhere outside to sit. This is my heater. It's a gas heater, and the city gas supplies the gas, and they have a reputation for, you know, arbitrarily turning people's gas off for no reason in the middle of the winter for like a week at a time. And there's no recourse. You don't really have the Public Utilities Commission to go to because they're not responsible for the city utilities. So it's something that I live with every fall, of just the fear and the terror that, you know, I'm going to live another winter where things are so unstable. Without this heater, there just isn't enough electrical stuff to heat the place adequately. And with the severe Raynoids, it would probably be pretty well curtains for me. You know, maybe if I got lucky, I'd get away with just losing a hand or a foot, but, you know, it might be far worse. So it's not a risk that I really like taking every year, and so that's another reason for me to go. The day that I moved in here, that first weekend, my swamp cooler leaked, and water was coming through my living room roof. After that, every time it rained, I would have a roof leak somewhere. They would send a repair person out, and the roof would leak again in another spot. They keep hiring roofers or changing roofers because that one didn't do a good job. It still continues to leak. I did have my heat break at one point. They know how sick I am, so they came right away to fix it. It had to be repaired twice. It broke twice. The swamp cooler broke once. The neighbors played with the hose, turned off my water to the swamp cooler, and I had no swamp cooler. They're always kind of playing with stuff over there and not doing it responsibly. One time I went without power for 3 days because somebody did something to the electric line over there they weren't supposed to do. And it goes on and on. It's like every week they were getting a call from me for some repair. And it was pretty well evident at least a year ago that I am really not supposed to be here and I should leave as soon as possible. And since then I've been getting trapped in my apartment. I'll go to open the door and I'll have an appointment to go to on one of my good days, one of the few days that I'm well enough to get out. I go to try to do it, and then I go to try to get out the screen door and it's jammed stuck. And the repair has to come, fix it, and let me out. And I guess the final straw was that happened so many times, and then my helper got locked in here when it was time for her to go home, and she had somewhere to be. And she was trapped. For like a couple hours I had to pay her overtime for being trapped. So that's not desirable either. I mean, they do keep fixing things, and of course, being with cursed building syndrome, things are going to keep falling apart no matter how hard they try. It's just like not meant to happen. One thing that I really love here is the beautiful, beautiful gray tile. It is beautiful. It goes with my black and gray modern that I moved in and the way I had things set up when I first moved here. It's really nice, but I had to buy these fake bearskin rugs to pad the floor because my feet were literally getting black and blue on the bottom from walking on the floor and the pain up my legs. It just really didn't work. It's not really the way it's supposed to be. So that really isn't a good thing after all. And this place is in pretty bad disarray now because I've kind of torn everything up. I've taken things out to sell them. That used to be a desk. Now it's a card table because I sold the desk. And a lot of stuff has changed. Basically, the big issue and the big unsafe thing here is that the neighbor's Wi-Fi. I've got Wi-Fi and neighbor's smart meters and their cordless stuff and Bluetooth from the cars coming in at me from all sides. So I pretty much spend 24/7 in that canopy area. Most of the time I'm kind of too sick to get out of bed anyway, but then there's the other half of the time when I really want to get out and cook and use my house and enjoy myself, and I really have to stay in there, otherwise I risk a mini stroke or heart problems or any other really bad symptoms that could come. So I'm pretty much stuck in there. Fortunately, unlike any Section 8 rental I've ever seen or heard of, I've got a lot of good neighbor distance actually. I do have the houses across the street. They're really too close. The Wi-Fi is really too much coming from over there. That wall is my closest neighbor. That puts them 10 feet from me, if that. And so anything that all their Wi-Fi is coming right on through. And then you can see in the distance that other building over there. And they have a lot of equipment running all the time, and it's not like I can go ask them to turn it off. If I want to do that, I'm going to end up injured. So I don't go near them. I don't talk to them. I stay away. And again, personal safety isn't exactly a great thing here. I mean, it's pretty much an unwritten rule here. You don't talk to your neighbors, and if you do, you're probably going to have something bad happen. It's not like New York where you just don't talk to your neighbors because you don't have time. Because in New York, if you really needed something and you went to your neighbors, they'd be great. But not so here, you just don't do it. So I've got the Wi-Fi coming at me from all angles. Now in the bedroom here, I call it the bedroom because I used to have a bed here where this table is. And when it just became evident that I was going to have to use the canopy, and it was harder to walk from the bedroom all the way in to the kitchen and the bathroom in there. So I basically just decided to move the bed and the canopy into the living room. And so the bed's gone here now, and it's a room. I'm just getting ready to sell everything. And I'll just have to do another video about paring down and selling and all that another time. But basically I just want to talk about why I'm leaving. Again, this room is even darker. So if I'm here in the daytime and I don't have the lights on, it is dark. And the plants, they're all clustered in the corner by the light there because they really don't get much light.